Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am joined by somebody that is just absolutely killing it in the game right now. Slasher in suits, Slasher Bryan, if you will. How you doing today, man?
Hey, what's going on, Ken? Glad to be here.
Dude, I am so excited to have you here. We were able to connect through social media. I was able to check out the channel. I absolutely love what you're doing over there. So,
Oh, thank you.
before we talk about why we're here, I want people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. How long have you been doing Slasher in suits for?
Well, it seems about 5 years now, 4 years. I don't know, 5 years, at least the 1 year in obscurity,
Mhm.
right? Until something popped, right? That's the whole YouTube process. But yeah, 5 years.
And for the people that don't know your channel, can you tell us a little bit about what you do over there with your kill counts and
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, I do kill counts on recently released movies, like opening weekend releases.
right?
So a lot of times I'll put together trailers and clips because, marketing materials, they give you everything in the trailer. So I put it together so you get a good idea of how many people die in certain movie and joke around and have a nice flow with it. And yeah, sort of almost like a spoiler review. So that
And
that's what I think of them.
no, and I love the fact that you're doing things that are so fresh. People obviously know there's going to be spoilers, but it's something that it's fresh on people's minds. They just went and
Yeah.
seen it. They want to get that because we all love a little comedic relief when it comes to watching our reviews as well. So if you guys haven't, I have all his social media links as well as his YouTube link down here in the description. So make sure you're following on social media and make sure you're subscribing on YouTube as well. So you do a lot of kill counts over at what you do. What gave you the inspiration to start doing that?
Views, I guess. Well, views and they start doing well. I remember I was doing stuff like Halloween 2018 was the first time I actually attempted something like that. I was like, well, what's something different? What's something not happening? And I was like, well, let me try to do a Halloween 2018 kill count. And I put all together like all the kill scenes that happened from all the trailers and such. And my other videos, maybe 300 views, something like that. And then all of a sudden I do something like that and it's like 80,000 views or something, and it just blew up for me. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let me try to replicate that. And then, after that, you just keep doing the stuff like audience retention. Like, let me try to make it a better format. Do people want more of the footage or more of that, or focus more on storytelling in the long run? So yeah, that was my inspiration to do it. And then just doing horror movies, I love it. And yeah, so at first, yeah, I didn't know what the channel was. Like everyone doing YouTube, you don't know what you're doing until you find something that sort of hits, and then just keep at it, keep replicating it.
And I love the fact that you're so analytically driven because I'm the same. Like I can't tell you how often I'm checking out my analytics and looking at what this is doing or what that is doing. I think that's people. You often get that stigma of, oh, you do a YouTube channel. It's like, dude, if you knew the amount of work that actually goes into what we do, like I'm
Yeah.
always working. Even when I'm hanging out with my wife watching a movie, I'm working. I'm taking
Oh
notes.
yeah, a lot
I'm
of
doing
thought.
timestamps.
Yeah.
Like so 7 days a week, man, we're doing this even when we're it's nice sometimes to not watch a horror movie so I'm not working. I go and just watch a comedy and free my mind. So
Yeah, you can watch
um
Top Gun or something and be like, oh, okay. All right,
right.
that's fine.
So we know what you're doing right now, man, but I
Mhm.
would like to go back to the past. And I want to remind you guys one more time. I have his social media links and the YouTube link in the description below. So make sure you're following him so you can stay up to date on all the kill counts that he has coming up, as well as other things he may be doing on the channel as well. So in order to kill count horror movies or be a horror movie fan in general,
Yeah.
horror had to start for you somewhere, Bryan. So I want to go back to the past and talk about what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And Bryan, the first horror movie you watched was
First one was, well, it's sort of like like it's a complicated answer too. Like, of course, I think you might have seen some on TV, right? Like, I think I was watching a little bit of it, and then the family left, and it was rainy, and I'm like, no, I'm not finishing this. Or Child's Play. But I remember the first time I had like a sleepover, we had Jason Lives on VHS, and there's just something different. It's like you get all the unfiltered, you're seeing kills, like
Yeah.
gore and language and all that stuff for the first time, even though that's the one without nudity. But
No nudity.
yeah, yeah. But
And
still, I don't know, some of these scenes are very hot. Like they need nudity. Like, yeah,
this is still my favorite Friday the 13th film to date.
yeah,
It's just, I think that 4, 5, and 6 are the perfect little mini trilogy.
perfect.
Um, and I love this film so much. Like all the references to the Universal monsters. CJ Graham is an amazing Voorhees. You talked about you were doing this at a sleepover. Do you remember about how old you were when this happened?
Oh, I think it was like fourth grade. I think something like fourth grade. I think they had to call my parents. Well, I think we were watching Candyman as well. So it's over like, yeah, that's, I don't think you need permission for Jason Lives. There's nothing like, all right, no kid can handle this. But Candyman, it might freak your kid out. And they went, yeah, sure, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Candyman. It's funny because even back then, though, even as kids, that was back when Friday the 13th was still a very scary movie as a kid. I remember being
Yeah.
very scared of Friday the 13th as a kid. Jason used to scare the hell out of me because this idea, especially when you get Frank and Jason from Jason Lives, like that was just a scary, scary thought to me. This legit
Well, that's
monster.
what it's like. Yeah, they dug him out of the ground and the lightning bolt. It's very much Frankenstein. And I think it was because what they did that because he wasn't in part 5 and they wanted to make sure that they dug him up and this is zombie Jason.
Yeah.
And he's super strong. I love it. That this is like the version of Jason that I think could go beat anybody. Whenever you're talking about a matchup, you go Jason Voorhees versus whoever, Michael Myers, you go, damn, Jason also had a goddamn utility belt in this. You don't know what he has in there.
Yeah.
And he was punching fools' heads off. It was just he's super OP in this.
My rebuttal to the Michael versus Jason saga. Jason's never lost to Busta Rhymes. So I think it's safe to say Jason got that ass. So
or Corey, he got out wrestled a little bit ago. So he got out wrestled and drop kicked. Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm
Team Jason all the way. 100% every day of the week.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need that match to happen. Jason already's like 1-0 versus Freddy. So yeah.
Exactly.
It could
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
I hope it happens.
Anybody that tells me Michael could beat Jason, I just throw some Dangertainment at him and we'll go that route. So this is a very fun movie too. Like I said, I'm a very big fan of Jason Lives. You got some meta moments in it. It's a fun movie. Do you remember which scene it was that affected you the most?
Let's see. I love a lot of it. I would have to say when Court is in the trailer with the girl. Yeah, I love that scene. Because like I said, it doesn't have nudity, but that's a really hot scene. When I was a kid, I was like, oh, she's riding on top of him. I love it. Like that's good enough. I mean, if she did take off her top, that would have been the same, like maybe even better, but I was still really enthralled with that scene.
Right.
And it was funny too. Like, oh, what lasts until the end of the song, and you're like 10 minutes, and the guys look, and you're like, oh shit, because you're fourth grade or something. Like, wow, is that a long time to have sex? You're learning the birds and bees at the same time,
right, man?
Yeah. So I was like, oh, and then you watch it again later, and now like, oh, the music stopped because they pulled off the plug. Like, oh, the song's over, and you're like, that's so relatable too to around that time. Yeah. So
and it's funny because now as an adult, you watch, like you said, you watch these as an adult, and you're like, yeah, it's cool. But as a kid, I feel the same way. Like whenever I saw nudity as a kid, I was like, or the sex scenes, I'm like, this is where it's at. I love this. It's awesome. Now as a 37-year-old man, I'm like, give me a better story. I don't give a shit about titties.
I know when they say last 10 minutes, I think I could do 10 minutes now. Maybe I could
on a
as
good
an
day.
adult. Yes.
So obviously with Jason Lives, there's a lot of other moments that can stick with you that aren't necessarily about violence and gore, like we just said about, like the sex scenes and stuff. But what would you say your favorite scene from Jason Lives would be?
Well, that one's very good because that kill was so awesome. And putting her head in the side of the RV, like What part 4 was like the Savini Jason, right? And it was
Yeah.
so full of gore. And this one had a different sort of that's a different sort of intensity, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and then like a lot of them don't have like ultra gore, or the sheriff gets like folded in half like a taco. Is so great. And he's actually like, you feel it too. All right, I'll just talk about that scene then. Just where you know, he's in the bushes and he hears Jason actually going after his daughter. He's like, oh no, I'm gonna like Papa Bear, and go
Yeah.
after him and kicks his ass a bit. See, no one says like, oh, Busta Rhymes drop kick Jason, but that sheriff did whoop his ass a little bit and hit him with the rock. But you could feel it like, well, Jason, you know, he was just so OP that, you know, it didn't hurt him. He just caught him off balance real quick.
Right.
So that's a suit. That's a really cool kill. I also like the way that they even like killed him. They didn't even kill Jason. They just sort of like detained him. Like they put the thing around his neck and he's like floating at the bottom of the lake. And I've even seen people like they've created that statue in a lake somewhere. And like it's such a cool shot, and just the way, I don't know, just I love the ending. I love that. I love the humor that this movie also has.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. So probably both of those kills and the Frankenstein beginning when he gets stabbed and the lightning bolt. Just all of that.
Well, and it's also one of those things where this is a movie that really flipped the franchise at this point. You know, it had gotten stale a little bit. They tried the Roy Burns thing. It didn't really work. So they, you know, did the Frank and Jason thing. And I feel like it really works. This really spawned off a whole new chapter in the Friday the 13th saga. And obviously this is an ever-growing franchise. The franchise is huge. We may be getting some new stuff in the future. As of recording it, nothing's been fully committed yet. We know we're getting the TV show, the prequel series, right? You know, Crystal Lake. But we don't know anything about Jason yet. But in what we have so far, which of the Friday the 13th movies would you say is your favorite?
Oh, well, yeah, I would say part 6. Yeah, for sure. I think the juggle is between everybody I even see online too. It's like 6, 4, you know. But I think number 2 is very underappreciated too. Like I love part 2 as well. So yeah.
I will die on the hill that Jason Goes to Hell is one of the best in the franchise. I
you
love
die
Jason
on that
Goes.
Hill, sir.
Yeah, I love that movie, man. Like I just
all right. I'll give you that tent kill. That 10 kill is probably one of the best kills. That's enough. I made a video about that long before. I didn't even have 1,000 subs at the time, so I didn't care. It was like copyright it, whatever.
Right.
And that one got like 200,000 views until it got like shut down or something. So
right.
I just love, because I used to even break down just small individual kills. And you know, it's just a process of YouTube seeing what works. But I go like, well, I can't do that anymore after you try to get ads and stuff like that. I guess you could do it in a certain way, but yeah.
I don't know. Creighton Duke, I think, is awesome. Like I love the fact that they really reveal that Jason's a Deadite in that movie. You know, the Necronomicon. Like I love Jason Goes to Hell, man. Like
did they really acknowledge he was a Deadite in
they couldn't actually say he was a Deadite because Evil Dead was owned by a different studio, but the Necronomicon is in the house. So I mean, like for me, it's like, yeah, there is a little Easter egg. Sam Raimi gave Adam Marcus the Necronomicon to use. He gave him his blessing, and he put it in the house to show that, you know, they had been using the neck. And she uses the Kandarian dagger to stab Jason.
Oh,
you know, like so.
I thought that was all just lifted. Now I'm putting it together. I didn't get that at the time. Like when it came out, oh man, because the first Jason I saw in theaters was Jason X. So I just missed out on
Goes to Hell.
Yeah, just Goes to Hell. And I think I was more focused on the Freddy glove at the very end, you know?
Dude, that's the best ending in any horror. We did our top 10 horror movie endings. That was my number one. That to me is the best horror movie ending. My theater erupted. I remember being in the theater when that happened, and the whole theater just like, obviously we didn't have Google in our pocket back then. It was, you know, we didn't know this was going to happen. And that was the biggest fucking deal for a horror head like me to see a Freddy glove in a Jason movie. I freaked out, man.
It's so cool. I wish they would do one more thing like that. One one, like, give us like a post-credit Marvel scene. I mean, Terrifier 2 just sort of did that with like,
Mhm.
oh, this is what we expect, and it was after the credits. I remember I even walked out of the theater, and then I Googled, like, they have a post-credit scene. I tried to get back in the theater, and everyone's so packed in the hallway, I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and watch it again. But yeah, we need some more of that in new movies. Like, I was expecting Halloween Ends, like, all right, give us Corey's foot twitch or something like that. Like,
Right.
oh my God, he's almost alive. He's carried it on, or something like that. The like the very ending jump scare thing is like a thing of the
Mhm.
past, and it shouldn't be.
See, and I love like even Split, the newer movie, how at the very end you got the connection of Unbreakable and Split together. Like I love those twists there at the end. Like, holy shit, this is a part of Unbreakable. Are you serious? Like I love
Yeah.
that moment.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I love that. Yeah. Well, what else have they done like that lately? Yeah, like you said, Split, Terrifier 2. They haven't done anything to connect any franchises or anything.
no, we need to though, because that would be sick. So
Like
good.
Megan and Chucky's got to fight. Come on, dude.
Gotta happen.
I was totally expecting, and maybe I don't even care which Chucky. It could be the 2019 Chucky or the
Mhm.
OG Chucky. Let's fight. I know Chucky, and they had a Twitter beef online. Like, come on,
Which was
like,
great.
yeah, they're throwing seeds at us. Dude. Like, maybe we don't get end credit seeds, but if you follow them on Twitter, we get little seeds and nitbits like that too.
I would absolutely love it, man.
Yeah.
So I've had an amazing time talking about Friday 6, a movie I could talk about my whole life, but
Mhm.
I got a little bit of a curveball I want to throw at you here for a second, my friend. My little
Sure.
buddy Ghostface is here, and he has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite horror movie, Brian?
I would say it's a movie I sort of watched around that same time too, almost. Return of the Living Dead. I gotta say, Return of the Living Dead. I mean, I think this is the point of even saying like Jason Lives or Return of the Living Dead. Like, I sort of don't even watch horror movies like that. Scared the shit out of me. Like
Yeah.
Jason Lives is so much of a thrill ride, and it's so fun and comedic. I have a fun time watching it every time. Same thing with Return of the Living Dead. Like,
Mhm.
you watch it. I've put on Return of the Living Dead with like groups of people, not even horror heads or anything, and they all love it. It goes over great.
It's the most punk rock zombie movie of all time, man.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
it's
I'm a
just,
punk rock guy too. It's like after I watched that movie, oh nice. Who's that?
just the punk rock nautical star, and it says punk rock written on it. Grew
Oh
up a total
nice.
punk fan, man. Grew up listening to
Yeah.
like Dead Kennedys, The Descendants,
Oh,
Suicidal
that's what I
Tendencies.
love about I'll go Halloween Ends is so great because we got the Cramps and Dead Kennedys in there. I was so that's why I go, all right, you already bumped up a star in my book. And I remember even watching Return to the Living Dead, the soundtrack was so awesome. Like, I remember
Yeah,
pausing it and looking at all the bands, and that's how I discovered the Cramps and TSOL, and it just gets you down the rabbit hole. And you can't even find those records at like the regular store. Like, I
right.
finally found like a punk rock store that, oh, I had to go back and try to find all those albums there.
Dude, it's amazing. And it's funny. Like, I remember how amped I was when Napster first came out, like, because then I don't have to go to the record store to, special order a Slick Shoes album, like one of those
Yeah.
things. So, obviously, before I let you go, I want to do what we always do here to end the show. And we're going to rank Jason Lives on a skull count.
Hmm.
Now, as always, we're not ranking it on acting, production, score, direction. We're not being critics. We're strictly ranking this movie on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So, 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Brian, what would your ranking of Jason Lives be?
Let's see. I do really love it. 4.5 skulls, 4.5. I would say it's almost perfect. Almost. It's almost a perfect movie for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't argue with it. Like I said, it's my favorite of the Friday the 13th franchise. Growing up, part 3 was always my favorite, just because it was when I watched the most. But then,
Yeah.
as an adult, you go back and rewatch the whole franchise, and something about Jason Lives just really, really sticks with me the whole time. So,
It's
guys, we are at
crazy
the
that the sixth one would be the best one.
right.
Right now, when you hear 6, you're like, oh shit, that's gotta suck. Fast and Furious 6, whatever 6, anything 6, you go, dude, that's gotta suck. And this one, the 6 is arguably the best one. It's insane.
Mhm. And it's like I said, I hated 5 as a kid because it
Yeah.
didn't have Jason.
Yeah,
Man,
me
listen,
too.
I'm talking to 13-year-old Ken right now.
Yeah.
Listen, little buddy, it's Jason throughout the whole movie up until the reveal. It's totally fucking Jason, man. Like it's a total Jason flick. I get you have the Roy Burns reveal at the end, but
Yeah.
dude, it's fucking Jason, little Kenny. So remember
Yeah.
that, buddy. When you grow up, don't
Yeah.
be a cynical little dickhead. It's Jason the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
movie.
yeah.
So.
Like, come on. He's super strong like that. Like Roy Burns, what were you on, dude? I know
Right, dude.
steroids are
It's a
big in
total
the 80s,
until the
but
last 45 seconds, man. It's a total Jason flick the whole way. So,
yeah,
guys, we're at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll. Curtain's about to drop, but before it does, I want to remind you one last time to make sure you're subscribing to Slasher and Suits. Make sure you're following him on social media. I promise you will not regret it. It's amazing to watch. We just watched the Megan kill count the other day, so I
oh,
mean, like you're
nice.
doing these things that are so up to date at the time of recording. It's brand new. So we're really, really happy for you, man. I love the things that you're doing over there, and I would love to have the chance to work with you again in the future. But
Sure.
Bryan, please don't go anywhere, man. I got a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.